All right, we're going to get going. We want to be respectful of your time. It's a little after 7. We're going to try and get through here in the next 30 minutes. It may end up being 40 minutes. My name is Brian Clement. I'm one of the co-head wrestling coaches here for the DCL wrestling program.
Dan Bucher, the other co-head coach.
As we go through, we're going to try and hit some of the highlights, some of the things that most people are going to want to know. I am fairly confident we will not cover every single possible thing that could or would show up this year. So the best thing we can tell you is communicate. If you've got a question on something, whether that is the athlete to coach or that's the parent to coach, when we're all done with this, everybody's registered, we're going to send both the handbook, which you have a paper copy of, and this presentation. We're going to send that to you in an email so that you have a copy of it, that you can look at it at your own pace, because again, we're not going to read everything to you, but we do want to touch on a handful of things so we're all on the same page. All right, Coach, we're up to you.
All right, big picture today. We'll cover that. We'll cover our coaching staff. Preseason information is probably the biggest part of today of getting yourself registered, getting everything in before the first date of November 21st. We'll go through our schedule, practice schedule, and other relevant information. Looking ahead, similar to the years past when we paired, we're first and foremost looking at, in order, working with our varsity and putting the most competitive group of men that we can put on the mat, and then all the way down to your 7th through 9th grade, putting together a really competitive team there. And then we look at the individual side of the wrestling. Obviously, wrestling's an individual sport, but from a standpoint, we wrestle for each other and as a team. So we push each other in the room, but again, that's the criteria in order. Team first, individual second.
Like we said, Dan and I both introduced ourselves. Here tonight is our head assistant coach, Darren Allen, in the white shirt. Our head junior high and 9th grade and under coach, which is Jared Culbertson, in the green shirt. And one of our middle school coaches, Noah Hallinan, here in also the green shirt. I did not see anybody else pop in, but we got a lot of people who want to help. We got a lot of guys who are willing to volunteer their time to come work with your son. Marcus Halverson and Tim Kinsella help out. They do both some of the youth side along with the high school and middle school side. Some alumni, Max Anderson and Brad Polzine, help out. Chase Leisman is a Litchfield alumni. Jareth Horneman, Brody Schmidt are both DC alumni. Ryan Conrad is a guy that's been helping us the last couple years. Jason Coles is a new guy to our program. He and I both wrestled back in the late 80s, early 90s. He wrestled for Osseo. Wrestled for the Gophers for a little bit, and then I believe Wyoming, and then both of the Joderman twins are coming back to help us as well. So we got some little guys along with some big guys. So we got Colby, we got Eric Peterson, we got Noah and Craig Santema. Craig is a new guy to our coaching staff. He is a
Malacca grad, 2018.
And working in the Litchfield area. So we got 4 guys in our middle school program on a daily basis, upwards of 10 guys in our high school room on a daily basis. So we should have plenty of guys willing to work with your son.
Contact info is up there. Please, if you want to get a hold of me during the day, email works best. I know for Coach Clem, email works best too. I typically don't answer my cell phone during the day, so if you need to get a hold of me the fastest way, email. Coach Clem is also email as well.
Same thing, from about 7:30 to 3:30 while we're here teaching, email is going to work. We see that every hour at a minimum. My phone doesn't work in my classroom, so I mean, you can call, but it ain't going to do you a whole lot of
good. Important dates. So if you have your cell phone out and your calendars, the other part too is you guys have a calendar in front of you too. Practice gear deadline is November 21st. Turkey bingo is November 17th. For the DC students, typically they know what that is. For the new or 7th grade Litchfield students, that's probably something new. We just We go out and play some bingo in the commons, and we win turkeys. There's food, beverages, and it's just a good time. So that is on November 17th. First day of practice, November 21st, and turkey trot is November 24th. If you have a question, stop us at any time too. Practice uniform. I'm wearing the old practice uniform. It's kind of worn out. This is the original from 4 years ago. My name is worn out on the back as well. We do laundry every day. This is what the set looks like. Shorts with your name on it. Shirt with your name on it. It's a new shirt this year. It's a Rudis shirt. We already have them in stock. We just need you to order it through that form and then submit payment to either, you can hand the check to Clem or you can hand the check to me, and then we'll give that to the school and get that taken care of. The important part of that is getting your name on it, so when we do run it through the laundry, and sometimes they do get separate from the loop, that we know whose shirt is whose. So it's an organizational thing that helps us out quite a bit.
And it serves two purposes. One, we look the same as a team in the practice room, but also two, that your laundry gets cleaned on a daily basis. That's probably honestly the most important part. I don't know what your sons are like at home and how well they do or don't do the laundry. We took that in rarely, if ever, and probably wrong. So we as coaches, we will wash their practice gear on a daily basis, so every day they will have clean practice clothes.
Can we use the old one if we have the old one, or do you want everyone to have the new one?
We would like you to buy the new shirt, but if you got old shorts that still fit, absolutely. Where are the old shorts?
So new shirt, it's right here, a little bit darker, so.
And I think it'll hold up a little bit.
Yeah,
better,
it's
too.
Rudis is, in my opinion, a better product than what we currently have. So
What times are captain's practices?
that would be after school.
Oh,
We haven't gotten to that part
We
yet.
haven't got to that
We'll
yet.
get into that
so.
one a little bit.
All right, what's next?
Here's the
Practice
link.
gear link. So if you went through the line over there, there should be a link or a handout that you guys have in front of you. You can scan it with your phone. That works. Or you can type it into a computer. Please make sure that the last name is spelled correctly, because that's what Ramsey Printing will print on the t-shirt. So again, I know that if you're using your cell phone, if you're like me, you misspell things a lot with the cell phone, so just double check that. So you can use that to register for that, and then just write a check to Litchfield Public Schools or Litchfield Schools, so we can pay for that as well.
If you're buying a shirt, the cost is $20. If you're buying a pair of shorts, that's $10. That's not the full sticker price, but we'll be covering part of that cost. So we're covering. It's more than $20 for the shirt. It's more than $10 for the shorts. We'll cover that cost. The cost to you guys is $20 or $10. As we look at some other dates coming up, we have, and we'll issue uniforms on Monday, November 28th. We'll take team pictures on Monday, November 28th. Some of us could be part of a football program that is still playing, so we're going to have to possibly adjust that date if the DC football team is still continuing to play. But right now, that's a date we set to get going. We will weight certify on Wednesday, November 30th. For those who are new to wrestling, we have set weight classes, and when we go compete, at least at the varsity level, you have to make that weight or below to compete. So Noah weighs 181.5 pounds. There's not a 181.5 pound weight class. There's a 182 pound weight class. You have to weigh 182.0 or less to compete at that weight class. We have 14 of them, like 14 different ones that compete at the varsity level. So at the beginning of the year, we have a professional come in, we check your weight, they will do a skin fold to say, Noah right now weighs 181.5 pounds, and he's at 14% body fat. The lowest he could possibly get to at the end of the year would be 163 pounds. Well, there is no such thing as a 163 pound weight class. The The next weight class above is 170. So that's the lowest Noah could go at all that season. We're not telling Noah he's going to go there right now. We're not telling him he'll ever go there. But the form says that is the lowest he could possibly go that season. We need that completed, sent home to a parent, signed, and then sent back to us before your athlete is able to compete at the varsity level. Same with the JV level. The junior high doesn't need that to compete, but if there is a chance where a junior high athlete would move from the junior high room to the high school room at the end of the year, which we had several guys do that last year, you have to be weight certified to be eligible to compete at the varsity level. So we are going to certify everybody. All kids 7 through 12 will get weight certified. A lot of you junior high guys, you're small. You're all going to be 106 pounders, even though you weigh 74.5 pounds. That's fine. But we still have to get the paperwork finished up. We got to get it put online with the high school league to make sure that you're eligible if that happens to come. For our varsity and junior varsity, we do have a tournament that we are attending over Christmas break. We do have 2 practices that you're expected to be at if you're going to compete in that tournament. Junior high, you're not. 7th and 8th graders, we don't take you up to the Fargo tournament, so you have that week off. But again, I know people got Christmas plans, so we want to make sure we get as much information to you as possible before the season starts.
All right, responsibilities. First of all, for Litchfield, your quarter ends tomorrow, so get your grades in line. For DC, you guys end your try December 1st. So to be eligible to compete, you need to be passing all your classes. At the minimum, we hope that you're doing better than the minimum there, but to be eligible to compete, you need to be passing your classes. One half means that you cannot compete, okay, until mid-quarter, okay? Should be training your body. Get your body ready for the season, okay? 30 to 60 minutes on your own with a friend. Captain's practice will start here soon. Get your body ready for the grind of the year. Recruit your peers to join. Wrestling's a challenging sport, okay? And people in this room know that. That fact alone, use that fact to recruit people to challenge them, okay? Get your peers, even if they're thinking about it or not, keep on them. Pay your activity fee. For Litchfield, the cost went up this year. I think it went to, football players, it went up to $125. So that's at the high school and at the middle school. Colby, can you speak to that? You don't know?
I think it is 125.
For the middle school?
Oh, no.
65 for the middle school? Okay, Coach
So if
Clem?
yeah, I don't know.
You know, just 80. Okay, so just go, again, you sign up through your school and that's how it is. You're not going to sign up through, if you're a Ledge kid, you're not going to sign up here at DC. So sign up through your school. You can pay online, I know, through campus as well. Transportation form, we'll talk about at the end. And I already talked about the practice gear form. And then just submitting payment as well. So
if you look at the grid looking one like this is to the best of our ability as of 11/3, what do we see happening over our season? It's got the practices that we plan on having. It has the competitions that we plan on having. At the end here, we'll kind of show you how you can get to our wrestling website, which has both this schedule. We can also show you how to get to our school, which is going to be the hey, here's when the competition starts. But for the most part, take a look at this. Make sure you're solid on when we're practicing, when we're competing. It has a top line there for the varsity practice and times. It's got a time for the junior high practice. And we have our November, December, January, and February information there. Junior high, you guys have junior high only events that are just for 7th and 8th graders. There are times when we will compete as a 9th grader and under. That means 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. We have some individual tournaments and some team tournaments. that you are able to compete at, so that's all 7th, all 8th, and our 9th graders. And a decision that was made a couple years ago, I think partly with COVID to still have a junior high season, is 7th and 8th grade will travel when we go compete against other Wright County Conference teams. So when we go wrestle at Howard Lake, we'll bring everybody, 7-12, to go compete that day. If we're going to hosting Glencoe and Rocori, right, they in theory are bringing all their kids 7-12, and we'll find a way to get guys matches.
Anything to add, Culbertson?
Yeah, so along with that schedule, I'll try to keep middle school updated. I'm trying different apps over the years. This year, my daughter, her coach has had softball use Team Reach. So I'm gonna use the Team Reach app. It's amazing. Like, I can put on the calendar, I can tell you where the event's gonna be and the time, and we can kind of still chat a little bit. And it's easy for me to update. So I'll put that information out first day of practice. Kids will come home with that stuff. So you can get a load of your phone, their phone, whomever. Just a big group thing. And you'll still be able to just chat individually. People send you a message or something. You don't have to send it to a whole group or anything like that. Just easier for me to keep it updated than the other apps I've used when schedules do change. So
You'll prefer that mode of communication over like email or?
yeah, yes,
Okay.
I do. Because everybody here has a job, so you have emails at work. I just don't keep up with everything else. So it's usually the best thing. It updates me. I get alerts and everything. So it's just like almost like sending a text where I'll see it right away.
So if you look for Coach Culbertson in the schools, he's not. So he's outside the schools. He's not one of us. No, just never been.
Never mind. I think he's proud of that. As far as season limits, this is for varsity wrestlers, but also it's a guideline for our middle school, is we have the ability to compete in 16 events. Those 16 events don't necessarily always line up. There'll be times when just the 7th and 8th grade are competing. There'll be times when maybe there's a tournament just the varsity is going to. Maybe there's a tournament where just the junior varsity is going to. But the umbrella is you can have up to 16 events and 45 matches in your regular season. If you somehow wrestled more than that, you're not eligible for the varsity postseason. I'm fully aware that not every single athlete in the room is going to be wrestling on the varsity level, but we still want to keep your competition to around that 16 event, 45 match limit. And this covers all of our guys.
Practice location, similar to years past. High school, you guys will start at DC. Junior high, you guys will start at Litchfield. The switch date would be January 9th. So it's simply what it is. Practice times, here's an example. We leave at 3:10, practice starts at 3:45, practice ends around 5:25-ish, maybe a little later some days. Bus departs home at 5:40, homeschool at 6. Again, some days it's a little bit longer for the high school.
Tuesdays will be one of those days because we'll add our lifting in the afternoon.
Yeah, so that's a change from years past. We used to lift in the mornings on Tuesdays. This is high school now. High school used to lift in the mornings at their home school. That's a change. We are going to lift in practice.
And we're going to
on
lift as one
Tuesdays.
team.
Yep, lift at practice as one team. So
Here's an example of kind of 7th and 8th grade. Again, DC kids will hop on the bus, go to Litchfield for practice. Bus rolls out at 3:10. Practice starts at 3:45. You're done at 5. Clean up, hop back on the bus, head home. You should be back to your home school by 5:30, 5:40. Right? We will not be sharing buses with hockey going home, so we're not going to have to wait for anybody else. We'll get you home at a decent hour. Wednesdays, and this is for 7th and 8th grade athletes. A lot of you still have some kind of a church obligation on Wednesdays. It's from whenever to whenever. So as opposed to throwing you on a bus, driving somewhere, practicing for maybe 30 minutes, then trying to throw you back on a bus and go home, we made the decision you're just going to practice at your home school. So 7th and 8th grade athletes, you're going to practice at your home school on Wednesdays. You'll be done by 4:45 p.m. You'll do something in the wrestling room for about 45 minutes at the start of practice. You'll have a lifting session from 4 to 4:45, clean up and head home and do whatever church-type stuff you have to do.
All right, this is for high school. Tuesdays are weight room practice. It'll be part of practice. However, this is for everyone. The weight room, wrestling room will be open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6:30, correct?
Yep.
6:30 is the start time. So again, that would be additional training if you want.
Website, we can get to that in a little bit. All right. If you have to go to the doctor for whatever reason, you're going to a dentist, you're going to a chiropractor, you're going because you stubbed your toe and you think it's broke, whatever it is, right? Make sure that you are communicating with the school, that you have that appointment. If you communicate ahead of time, there rarely is any problem. I got an 8:30 chiropractor and I'm just going to show up at school around 10 o'clock or so, that probably doesn't go well. You're probably not eligible to practice or compete that day. You call the school and tell them you have a 8:30 chiropractor appointment, you should be fine. If you, again, stub your toe, ding up your elbow, whatever, in a practice or a competition, and the trainer at the event or a coach goes, ooh boy, you know, Max, you're not looking so good there. We probably need to send you to the doctor. You as a parent look and say, Max is fine. Okay, that's your choice as a parent, but then you need to sign a note saying, yep, Max is fine. He doesn't need to go to the doctor. Okay, he stubbed his toe. He's fine. He can walk it off. If you make the choice to bring Max to the doctor, and the doctor says, yep, Max, we think you broke your toe, you need to sit for 3 weeks. Okay? That doctor or that PA or that whoever or that chiropractor has said, Max can't go to wrestling for 3 weeks. You have to go back to that person and get a note that says, Max is now clear to come back. And I'm not saying don't go to the doctor. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you go and they hold you out, because that's what they do, to get back in, you have to have a note clearing you to say, yep, you are free to come back and practice with no restrictions. Now, we want you healthy. We're not saying don't go to the doctor. We're just saying if you do go to the doctor, understand that if they say you're hauled out, you have to go back to them to get signed off. You can't just say, we're not going to listen to them. Once you've gone to the doctor, then that is what you're following.
All right, any athlete you're not able to wrestle, either injury or skin, still required to come to practice. All right, there'll be some type of training that we can do, whether if it's a lower body injury, we can work out your upper. If it's something to do with skin, we can still work you out, just not on the mat. So there's ways around that as well. We want to keep that body as healthy as we can during that injury period. Also, you're completing your rehab too, whether that rehab includes some type of movement or it includes some type of icing. Those things can be done at practice as well. So expect that every day. Again, we're trying to get you back on the mat, get you back healthy again. And we understand that injury and skin are part of the sport. So that's our goal, just to get you back on the mat because that's why you signed up.
Okay. Now that's different from Gabe is just feeling sicker than a dog, puking his guts out. Communicate, coach, I'm sicker than a dog, I've been puking my guts out. Yep, Gabe, go home. I don't want you to pass the flu on to anybody else. You stay home today, I understand that. Just not showing up, that doesn't do much for us. Gabe telling Jake Decker, hey, Jake, go tell coach I'm not coming to practice today because I'm sick. No, Gabe, you're the one who's sick, you're the one who's staying home. Gabe, it's your job to get a hold of us and say, coach, I'm puking my guts out, I gotta go home. Okay, Gabe, go home, get some rest, feel better. Let us know where you're at tomorrow.
To be clear, that goes for middle school as well. I know it's maybe before you guys have leaned on your parents quite a bit, and that's fine as long as you say, I told my mom and mom got to hold me, that's fine. But telling your buddy to come to practice and then get to practice saying you went home sick, that doesn't fly. You guys are learning how to be adults. This is step one. You have to take responsibility for yourself.
kind of piggybacking off of that, if you're waking up, you're just feeling cruddy as all get out, and you stay home and sleep in for the first couple hours of the day, and then about noon you start to feel good. I mean, I'm not saying you can't come back to school, but if you're missing a good chunk of the day for being sick, I don't know that you're necessarily going to be eligible to practice or compete that day. All right? So the general rule is if you want to practice, compete, you need to be in school. Okay?
Sarah had a question.
Are we needing to take him back to get cleared for brain injury?
So like a skin infection, they should sign off on the sheet. We'll show that to you, or that's in the packet.
Yep.
They should have a return to date on that sheet. So if you go to the doctor, I guess we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, and let's say you have a spot of ringworm on your arm, on the sheet that they fill out, there should be a return to date at the
Usually
earliest.
3 days later for that.
Yep. And there's guidelines at the bottom of that sheet. So if you get a general note from a doctor about skin issues, that's not going to be cleared in competition. So when the referee does the skin checks, he's looking for that specific sheet. So just talk to us ahead of time. Just communicate with us before you go. We can either hand you the sheet, or some doctors have them in their office too.
Potato Clinic has it.
Okay, there it is.
Awesome. What we do every day before practice, we'll wash the mats. We also, a couple years ago, purchased UVC Light Sterilizer is the brand name, and it essentially kills anything that's on the mat. So we're more for an FYI for you. What are we doing to try and keep the room clean? Besides washing your practice gear, besides sending the athlete home to either take a shower at your school or take a shower at home, we're also cleaning the mat every day. We're also sterilizing it every day. Athletes, when you go home, and maybe some of you junior high guys aren't used to showering at school, wipe down with a baby wipe, or you go home, whatever you wore has got to get washed. Right? You can't just put on the same stuff you wore home, all sweaty and smelly and dirty. When you go home, you have to shower. Okay? You have to shower after every practice.
Being absent from school, I guess we don't have it on here, but just talk about a situation when we leave for an event early. Bus times are bus times, so if you adjust the bus time on your own and you are unexcused from a class, you are ineligible to compete at that event that night. So parents, call in if your son needs to go home and pick something up and he needs to go grab his shoes or whatever. Just make sure you clear with the office first. That's just school policy. So again, being in school versus not being in school, they just need to know where you're at. That's all they're looking for in terms of communication. So when you're leaving school, whether you're sick or need to go home and grab something, make sure you guys are communicating with the office. Parents, make sure you're communicating with the office too. Okay.
Weight certification, we already covered that one. Wrestle-offs for the regular season. We have a decent amount of individual tournaments at the varsity level. If we have multiple athletes who say they want to wrestle at 120 pounds, there are possibly opportunities where we can put more than one athlete in. But when we go to the Chaska-Chanhassen tournament second weekend of the year, we're guaranteed one spot. If they have an open spot, we can put a second 120-pounder in there if we think that athlete is ready. But on the off chance we can't, we would have a wrestle-off to say, Aho and Shaner, you both think you're the best 120-pound guy that we got. They wrestle off, and Shaner wins the first one. Well, Shaner's going to get the spot on the Chaska-Chan invite. Now, Aho can say, you know what, next week, Coach, I want to wrestle off Shaner again. Sounds good. And he beats him that time. Okay, Aho wins the second one. Well, Aho is now the starter at 120 for that individual tournament at Redwood. If we can get Shaner in, we will, but if we can't, Aho won the last wrestle-off. Aho's the one who's going to go with that weight class. These are all for individual tournaments. When we're looking at dual meets between Coach Allen, Coach Dan, and myself, we look at, okay, what guy goes where to help us give us our best chance of winning the duel? And if Shaner's our best 120-pounder, what may be best for our team is to say, Shaner, we need you to go up and wrestle 126. Okay? So there's a difference between wrestling a dual meet and who we put out there versus wrestling an individual tournament. You athletes decide who gets to wrestle where at an individual tournament by a wrestle off if you need it. As a coaching staff, we decide what lineup do we think gives us the best chance of winning a dual meet. So that's different. Wrestle offs don't necessarily play into who's going to wrestle a weight class at a dual meet.
One thing to add to that, let's say we have an injury at 182 pounds and you've been wrestling JV. If you're not ready to step on the varsity mat, there's no point of putting you out there at the Chaska individual tournament. It doesn't make sense from a standpoint of putting you out there when you're not ready to compete at that level. So communicate with coaches. Just because there's an open spot there does not mean that, hey, I'm ready for the varsity. You might be thinking you're ready in your mind, but there's a difference between ready in your mind and going out there and competing at that level too.
When we get to the end of the season, again, varsity individual sections, we can only put one guy in, can't put a second guy in. So we will have a wrestle off for that. Again, that's a long way down the road. If you have multiple people who want to compete for a spot, and maybe Aho and Shaner have been trading it back and forth all year at 120. Right? They've both been varsity athletes. We'll take that in a case-by-case basis and say Aho's wrestled half the season at 120, Shaner's wrestled half the season at 120. I don't think either one of them's got an advantage. We'll do a best 2 out of 3 wrestle off to see who is our 120 pounder. Okay? Or we've had Gabe Nelson wrestling 126 pounds all year long. And now Aho makes a choice. He says, you know what, I don't want to wrestle 120 anymore. I'm going to go up and wrestle off Gabe. Gabe's been the varsity guy all year. So Aho's got to beat him the first time. And if he doesn't, then it's over. But that's Aho's choice. He can stay at 20 or he can go up to 26. I know that's a little ways away from me right now. But that's how that works. If Gabe's been the guy who's been wrestling that weight class, you can challenge him. Okay, you can, but you've got to beat him 2 out of 3 times to take his spot. That's how, again, individual tournaments, that's how they work. From a lettering standpoint, varsity matches are what count towards lettering. So again, that's probably not pertinent to junior high wrestlers or all the junior high wrestlers. Pretty much every point you earn for the team is a point towards lettering. So if you go out at the varsity mat and you pin 4 guys, you earn 6 points apiece each time. That's 24 points you would letter on the varsity. If you went out and won 8 matches, you would earn 3 points for your team. Well, that adds up to 24 points you would letter. If you compete in a varsity match, you earn 1 point. So we hope this is not the case. We don't want to put athletes in this position, but you go 0-24. Well, you earned 24 points, and technically that you did letter at the varsity level. Along with seniors in good standing if they didn't meet that 24 point requirement.
We'll just touch on captain's practice.
Captain's practice, touch on that quickly. It's going to be at your home school. So DC guys, you'll be here from 6:30 to 7:30. That'll start tomorrow morning.
AM.
That'll start tomorrow morning, go through next week, and then the following week. Okay, so all the way up until the first day of practice. Litchfield guys.
You guys will start at 3:15 and you guys will end at 4:15. So you guys will just go an hour long. Next Monday, though, I need help. So part of your captain's practice is moving the Delamers out of the room and taping down the mats. So you're on the hook for helping me as well. So it's just gonna be an hour's worth of work. You're welcome to stay and work longer. At Litchfield side, I know that weight room can stay open longer than just an hour. So that's what we're looking for. Again, you got a 2-week window here to pay the price to get ready for the season.
From a DC, oh good, you got
DC guys, we're gonna meet in the gym right out here. Bring wrestling shoes, bring tennis shoes, bring both. Okay? Don't bring slippers, don't bring boots, bring some tennis shoes. Okay? Tennis shoes and wrestling shoes every time.
Our weight room is open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6:30 to 7:30, and I believe it's open Monday, Wednesday, Friday after school as well, 3:30 to 4:30 ballpark. All right. So So there's lots of opportunities to get and do something physical before the season starts.
Oh, band gear stuff. 2 stores are currently open. The BSN store closes, it says right there, November 14th, and Rudis doesn't have as many options. That closes at November 13th. I think they both close at midnight, if I'm not mistaken, both days. There will be, I know Ramsey Printing will open a 3rd store, but that date will not open until the first day of practice, so November 21st, and they're opening that up for our youth, which you guys can jump in on that order too. For Rudis, they talked about a 6 to 8 week turnaround. I hope it's faster than what it was a year ago. So I don't remember I didn't know anything from BSN. I don't know what
Theirs
their
was
turnaround.
about I would think the BSN stuff would come in by Christmas, but again, that's me thinking. I'm not the one making it.
So
Just pay attention which store you order from too. They come in at different times. And so I was looking like crazy for somebody's order and like, oh wait, that was Ruth's order. So,
BSN
you know,
last year came in after Christmas.
Was it
It
after?
did.
We ordered his stuff last year and it took forever.
But-
It's super good stuff, like his jacket's my favorite, but
It did, was it, okay.
So the other thing too about BSN is, well, that should be delivered to us.
Yep.
And then we disperse it out. Rudis, they ship it directly to you. And then Ramsey, they'll have different pickup options too, whether they distribute it to us, whether it's mailed to you, whether you can pick it up at your school and so forth. So, and again, that will be on November 21st. So there'll be a 3rd store coming as well. So, any questions about apparel stuff?
So that covers kind of most of what we wanted. Like I said, we were not going to hit every possible thing. If you are a junior high wrestler and you have questions, if you're someone, again, 7th and 8th, maybe hasn't been something you've done in the past, Coach Hallinan, Coach Culbertson are going to head back to that corner. Go on and bug them and ask whatever questions you got. They will gladly help you. If you are 9 through 12 and you got a question for either Dan and I, we'll stick around and help you guys as well. Last thing, transportation, you probably got an email. Transportation is getting tougher and tougher. We have less people wanting to drive in a bus. Everything I've heard from our transportation coordinators, we should easily be able to get people home from a practice. We should be able to get people to and from a competition. It might be a little challenging to get everybody to a practice, so if you know of someone who has a bus endorsement or a bus license, is willing to drive, have them contact the transportation coordinator at whatever school you're going to. I know Coach Dan and I are looking at getting our license. We don't, that's a little, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little scary, but and that's going to lead into what we got here, yes. Again, I don't want a junior high wrestler to sit around the high school for 30 minutes to then hop a bus at 3:45 to then go to practice for an hour. That just doesn't make sense, right? So if I got to drive a bus to get you to practice on time so you can get a workout in, I don't like it, but I'll do it. If you have the ability to get to, if you're old enough to drive, which is not a lot of us in the room here, if you're old enough to drive, and your parent feels comfortable with you driving, yes, please do. If you don't, then just say no and have them ride the bus. And that's just 100% fine. Regardless of whether you're riding a bus, driving, any of that, if you're a DC athlete, you need to grab one of these. We need to know what your parents say is okay. Is it okay that you drive to practice or not? Which for like Gabe, he's a senior, yep, that's fine. Is it okay for Gabe to have somebody else ride in his car? Right, his parents have to say yes or no. No, Gabe, you can drive by yourself. We're not letting anybody else in your car. That's your choice as a parent. If you're the athlete who is getting a ride, are you okay with Gabe driving, and not necessarily Gabe, but any other high school kid driving your athlete to practice? Again, you don't feel comfortable, you have them ride the bus. I wish it was more simple than this. It's not. So,
To boot, the forms are different.
why wouldn't they be?
So each,
So are you thinking you will have busing when practice starts, or are you thinking you're gonna need to assign kids to that?
I think we're gonna have buses.
Okay.
But on the off chance I bomb this test 3 times in a row and they tell me I can't come back, I want to cover my butt.
Okay. Well, because there are some people who are willing for their kids to get practice, just didn't know.
Yep.
So from the standpoint of for the Litchfield form, it says driver of vehicle. If your son is not driving the vehicle and he can ride with someone else, just put various drivers to be covered. So you're not limiting yourself. Now, if you don't want him riding with various drivers, then put the only person that he can ride with. That was what I was instructed on by our administration. So.
This is every athlete in this room, right?
Yep.
Yes.
All do that? Okay.
Yep, because, and great question as we circle back, to start the season from November 21 to January 9, junior high kids are practicing, 7 and 8 are practicing in Litchfield, 9, 12 are practicing here at Tascocato. On January 9, we switch. 9, 12 is going to Litchfield, and 7, 8 will be practicing here. So at some point in time, halfway through the year approximately, each kid's going to practice at their home school, each kid is going to practice at the other school. To us, that's fair. As opposed to just assigning one school as the varsity room or one school as the JV or the junior high room. Everything we look at, we try to do what's best for the team and what's fair. And to us, that's what we decided, that's fair. So, that's all I have from my side. Coach Dan, anything from your side?
I'll be over by Pink's table over here with these sheets of Litchfield parents who want to come here and grab a sheet, and I'll kind of spell this out for you.
Coach Allen, anything from you? Okay, Coach Allen and Colby, could you head to the back corner there just in case the junior high parents got something they want to talk to you about? That is what I know. Have a good rest of your evening. Thank you. Yes, please, thank you.
So
Well, you would be surprised. I'm getting well, then I see you. Sure.
oh my gosh, it's like a packet.
I can go ahead.
I'm sure I can. See, you put down whatever you want.
I said various drivers.